All right, welcome to the Hill interview. This is the second campaign interview, this time with Leading America Forward. Previously, we did it with Revo and Owen, and now this interview. Today I'm joined by,
Hi, I'm Ray. I am the vice presidential candidate for the Leading America Forward campaign.
and
I'm Nathan. I'm the presidential candidate for a leading America forward.
all right, so happy to have you too. Thank you both for allowing me to do this. This is kind of the first time I've done a live interview. Although again, this is kind of being recorded and will be posted later. Um, So the first question I have, which I'm probably going to ask the other, what you call it, campaign, is what does Leading America Forward mean to both of you? Like, what exactly is Leading America Forward? Any of you could start.
Nathan, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You can go ahead if you'd like.
All right. Well, we went through like a lot of slogans. Obviously, we had a lot of good ideas, but to me, Leading America Forward stood out because it sort of symbolized like we are like leading the nation into, we hope, a new chapter, a good new chapter. Um, and it's sort of based on both our strengths and what we can bring to the nation if we are elected. So in that said, we're leading um, it by our strengths, and yeah.
All right, Nathan, anything to add?
No, I fully agree. I think that what we plan is just to hopefully bring our nation forward and progress better than what we're at this moment. The administration currently isn't as good as it should be, and especially during summer months, which is our most activity. And we hope to be able to set a better foundation and a future for this nation.
Mm-hmm. All right, would you actually, let me think what I was trying to say. Trying to think of the word. Would you elaborate on what you said actually just now, where you said that this current administration isn't doing as well as it should be? What do you mean by that?
Well, the first month of the current administration obviously was lacking in activity very much. They was allowing their departments to not perform at their highest standards. They've got people in positions that shouldn't be in positions anymore, and I think that during the summer months, obviously there's exams on the first month of this current term,
Mm-hmm.
which really does strain activity a little bit.
Yeah.
But coming into June, you got a lot of activity coming in, and you should be able to set up a good foundation for this coming month. And I feel like it's not been done the way it should be.
All right. Anything to add, Ray, to what he said?
Yeah. Um, I will say I understand that a lot of the stuff that's happened, like say stuff in DOS, HLS, the sort of troubled waves that this administration has had. It's not all on Aiden. His directors and his cabinet share some of the responsibility. Um, but at the end of the day, I think everyone can agree that this administration isn't functioning at the highest level that people thought it would or that it could. So yeah.
All right. I just kind of want to start with that just to ask. But now we're gonna go into you guys, specifically the About the Candidates channel that you have. Um, so we're actually gonna go first with you, Nathan. You talk a lot about mainly your military experience. I mean, you've obviously had congressional experience. I know you have previously worked in the United Nations as Secretary General. Um, but what exactly makes you a good candidate for president when it seems like your main thing is defense experience? And not to say that that's bad, having experience in defense and military is, needed, obviously, but what about like, what you call it? A lot of congressional experience, White House experience, all that, an all-around experience. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Um, yes, of course. A lot of my about me is about my time in the military. I've been in the community 5 years, and I've had more leadership roles in the military than most people. Secretary of Defense twice, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Commandant, Marine Corps, Chief of Staff. One thing that I really think uh, those experiences would bring to the table is leadership experience. And unlike my fellow candidates, they've not really had much leadership experience. Being able to lead a department, knowing what is needed to lead a department, and focusing on events and activities, recruitment. And I've had a lot of experience with that. But on that topic, I've not only served in the military, I've done other jobs. I've not listed all my jobs in my about me because they would go on for days. I've served low level in MPD, FBI, other agencies.
Hmm.
I've been all over the community, and I think that another thing that would really benefit is my time as Secretary General. I think it was 199 days in all. Gives me a really big insight on the way OUN works and what our Department of State needs to provide to keep OUN as afloat. Because at the end of the day, our nation is the most important thing to OUN. We're the biggest nation, most active nation, and we should contribute the most to bring the most activity to them.
All right, is that all?
Yep.
All right, and then following that, um, I'm gonna kind of touch on military because again, that's like your main experience. Although we'll get more into the specifics during your policies. But speaking of Department of Defense, United States military, currently it seems that the military police is currently doing a hearing, and I think there's been talks from a certain party regarding USM's activity and what, how it's been going on. Not being the most active when we kind of need it to, without a military, there's really no protection. So, how would you feel? How do you feel about that? And is there anything you have in mind to improve that?
Yeah. Of course, one of the major things right now is the leadership of the military is people that's held leadership roles for years and they're burnt out, and it's no secret. They've said it. They're burnt out. They're ready to move on. Um, but they get put in these roles because uh, I guess they have no other options. And one thing that I really want to improve on is giving people, the new people in the group, more chances and guidance on taking on those roles in the military. Especially with my experience, I want to help guide younger, new, motivated individuals into roles where we don't have to keep bringing back people from 4 years ago back into the same positions because we're just struggling. If we build on these new upcomers and guide them and teach them how to lead and teach them how to run operations and combat trainings and such, I feel like our military can improve greatly.
All right, sounds
Did
good.
that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it
Okay.
answered. All right. We're gonna move on to you, Ray. It's gonna be a similar question as the very first question. Uh, what makes you good as a vice presidential candidate? Obviously, we all know you are a current House majority and you have other experience within Congress. You have DOJ experience. Your about me tip really just lists everything, kind of like Nathan was kind of saying that he was also in basically everything within our community. So, what makes you a good vice presidential candidate?
Well, first I want to say House Majority Leader last term. Currently, I'm just the Dean of the House. We don't hold a majority.
You're right.
Um, but the other things, yeah, you're right. Um, well, this is a question actually I sort of answered that was posed to us by a citizen Um, they asked what. Let me see. What makes you different to the other VP candidates? Do you feel like you can make significant changes this term if elected? Um, and I responded. I said that obviously my experience within Congress is good. It'll help me sort of with the relationships I have already in there, to communicate better. Um, think of new ideas and events that we could do. But the other part of it is that you have to have a good background in the executive branch and in the military. It's also nice, to be an effective congressional member and I think a VP, because with both of them, you can really, your brain sort of links things that it wouldn't if you were purely just good at like Congress. But if you've been in both and for a long time, um, it really helps with congressional side and the executive side if I'm needed to do things like, I don't know, state visits or stuff like that. Um, so yeah.
All right. Um, okay. Uh, I think that I'm gonna add another question. I think that obviously the presidential candidates play an important role, but I feel like this time around that you and specifically Revo have kind of a competition with each other, having last term had kind of some backlash. How do you feel about, that kind of, seems like a rivalry that you're a vice presidential candidate, Revo's a vice presidential candidate, and during your time in House together, you've had quite a bit of backlash, kind of sparks. Um, do you see him as a threat at all? Like,
Yeah, no, we're both chairmans of our parties, so I think we may have more in common than we think. But yeah, I think in a sort of playful, fun way, we have a sort of competition. Um, so far though, I mean, the whole stuff that happened last term, we sort of squashed it near the end of that term. And so far, I think we've had a productive and active term working together. I really respect him. He's done a lot of great things, especially his program, training law lawmakers, um, is a great thing for the future of Congress.
hmm
Um, so yeah, but no, I think we have a solid relationship, and it's not as adversarial as it was last month.
all right. And then just kind of one more question on your relationship. What do you feel about the fact that he just got Speaker of the House and he already wants to be a vice presidential candidate? I kind of asked this already in their interview, but I kind of want to see another vice presidential side of it, like what about, like, do you feel like that's okay, or you think that he should get more experience? Because he seems very driven to gain congressional leadership, already having just been Secretary of the House, or sorry, Speaker of the House, not Secretary. Um, yeah,
Hmm. Well, listen, I could say that it's too soon, and you can make a good VP, but the truth is, I feel like as long as you're committed and you have a good amount of experience in Congress, you can be a good VP. Um, Rev obviously has a skill for sort of recruiting, communicating, um, public affairs. He's really good at transparency. So, it's a personal thing for him, I guess. He wants to be VP right after being speaker. Um, so whether it's too soon, I think personally, I don't have a problem with it. If others do, then I respect their opinion, but um, yeah, no, I don't really have a problem with it.
doesn't really bother you. All right. All right, then we'll go more into the policies. So currently, Nathan, we're gonna go back to you. The only policies I see regard DoD and DHS. Do you have other policies regarding like
Y-
DOS, IC, all that?
Yeah, we're currently working more on the fine tuning. We're early in the campaign in the primaries.
All right.
We're just fine tuning everything, making sure that.
All right. Would you be able
Go ahead.
to share some changes, improvements, policy regarding Department of Defense? Because lately, Department of Defense seems to have been falling, obviously with the removal of Astro and the introduction of Cole Perifidis as the new Secretary of State.
But so you want me to talk about the
Uh,
Department of Defense?
yeah, your potential policies for the U.S.
Okay. It- You said you said Department of Defense first, unless I'm crazy.
Sorry, state.
State. Okay. So you want me to talk about Department of State?
Yep.
That's great. Okay, I got you. All
My
right.
bad, my bad.
Yeah, okay. Uh, you throw me off there. Yeah, basically, our Department of State, it's going into some new changes with the new secretary. Hopefully, by the time if we were to take office, hopefully he's got a good foundation and a good start. Basically, for the Department of State, we're really wanting to focus in on doing some more events with OUN as a whole. As I said earlier, I want to contribute more to OUN. I want our citizens to contribute. Um, whether it be staffer jobs in the many different departments within the OUN, uh, doing more events together. We talked about possibly doing a world tour. Us going to every nation in the OUN just within our term if we were to win, and really trying to build on some relations and help bring in some new nations.
All right, is that all?
Yep.
All right, and then
Yes.
a question that I asked the other interview regarding the regarding DOS. How would you respond to a situation similar to how the US was in a conflict with the UK, which could have ended very badly, but luckily it didn't? How would you respond to that? Or do you not know the situation and you need it to be explained?
Well, I don't know if I was around at the time.
All right,
Was I?
I
I
don't
think I
know.
just had got back because
All right,
I was in the
so
middle of training.
all right, so I'll just explain it, even and for those who weren't aware. So, what's his name? Likely Mr. Owner, Speaker of the House, I guess committed something illegal while being a minister or a parliament member within the UK in our grounds in the or our land, and then we obviously made him persona non grata. DOJ is currently working a case for whether that was a legal, a legitimate or illegitimate persona non grata. Basically, UK took it badly. America responded, UK responded back, and it almost got into not a very good place for the U.S. Let's just say that. How would you respond to that if a similar situation occurred?
Well, if a similar situation occurred, obviously you would want to speak with all of your military leadership. Uh, Currently, this administration, obviously, the military leadership isn't at its strongest point. So, hopefully, if we were to take office, we would establish a good military leadership that would give good guidance and um, good ideas on what to do in those sorts, along with you want to bring in your intelligence community and your Department of State and working together as a team and having a good team to find out good solutions without making irrational decisions.
All right, is that all?
Yes.
All right. Um, okay, then we're gonna go to Ray. Again, I don't see any Congress policies, so I'm just gonna ask what policies you have to Congress and how do you plan on improving Congress, transparency with Congress and the people, and um, yeah.
Mhm. Well, one idea I had is back when I was in the Senate. This was way back. I believe Aiden was actually VP for someone, who though? It may have been Sunrise, but anyways, um, the vice president would hold weekly or biweekly meetings with the Senate and House. It may have been just Senate and House leaders. Um, but I thought those were really great. So if I were elected, then I would um, try to bring those back. As for policy, um, I would try to support any policy that House or Senate was passing that I deemed was important for the country or for the executive branch. Um,
Hey Ray,
yeah.
you got to take over for a little bit. I'll try to get back.
All right. No problem.
All right.
So yeah, myself, obviously I can't propose policy, but definitely reviewing what representatives and senators propose, helping them in any way I can. Yeah.
All right. I was gonna ask Nathan another question, but I guess I'll just kind of forward the question to you. We'll talk about the
Hmm.
policy. I guess I'll talk about DoD, but I'll talk about it after DHS. Um, DHS has currently been in kind of a rough area lately. What are your thoughts on it, and how do you plan on improving it? Similar question to your previous question, really.
Hmm. Yeah, well, obviously what happened with Roderick's was sort of bad for DHS. Not as horrible as, things that have happened in the past. Thankfully, Crypto was able to step up, and I believe he's doing a good job. But a key part of our platform for DHS, and you can read this in our About campaign channel, is that we want to make sure that the executive leadership of DHS is almost always fully staffed and prepared in case something like that happens again, where the Sec HLS is, resigns or is fired. We have to have people who can take the reins, who have been in DHS in leadership roles working for a good while. We can't have people who are just there for a few months and then take over Sec HLS. It's a big position. Um, yeah.
All right. And then speaking of HLS, as you know, a big part of HLS, newer part of HLS is the Customs and Border Patrol Agency. Obviously they aren't the most active, even though they technically should. They play a vital role in the airport, obviously making sure that no one illegally passes our borders. But again, without activity, we don't have that. So how would you plan on working with the Department of Homeland Security to kind of boost their activity, give them new things, and all that stuff?
Hmm. Well, looking back in the past, I think of when Samuel was the CBP director. Now, obviously, he did a lot of things that weren't great, and he was removed because of that. But he had an idea and a position which he held, which I actually agree with, is that we have to give CPB more to do to make it interesting and for people to want to join and be on game. Because if it's just sitting in that booth, asking questions, clicking the button or whatever, it's not very interesting.
I see.
So sorry,
Oh no, no, keep going.
some solutions maybe, and I think there was a bill proposed recently about this, would be expanding their jurisdiction, whether they can help with, say, criminals who are in the airport area. Um, Now, obviously, there may be objections to that, and we have to have a debate. But in general, giving CPB more to do, more responsibility, is a priority for us, and that will help CPB gain more members and keep more members.
I see. Coughs, tempor, coughs. Anyways, um, besides CBP, obviously there's Special Response Team. I think they've been decently active. I only have seen really Officer Bob and maybe another, but correct me if I'm wrong, Isaiah, since you're here, if you know about it. Um, but how would you help SRT? They or a very, not to be rude, but a finicky division since they're kind of not anonymous, sorry. Um, Autonomous is what the word I was looking for. They don't
Mhm.
really like to change administrators, specifically the director of SRT, unless obviously he meets certain requirements. They don't really have a quota, because they don't like that. So how would you, is there any concerns with SRT and how you would change that, or?
Yeah. Well, I've never been in SRT. I've never been much good as a PvP, PvPer. Um, I think having competition in SRT, and having good crime is a key part, and having good criminals. And I think right now we're lacking in that, and that's being reflected in how SRT is doing. Now, the parts of SRT that you mentioned that they're sort of enclosed and there's a sort of brotherhood, I think those are good things. Um, I mean, it's good to have a force that's sort of super specialized and like really good at fighting. Um, so, in a sense, we sort of have to solve the crime issue and the criminal issue before we can talk about that.
All right. Then speaking of crime, we'll go to that. What is it's not a very safe thing to, mainly campaign on crime, but there is things that can be done to kind of improve it without going in the illegal side of things, like where you just basically are doing something for crime which would make you be looked down upon. And what can you do for crime? Or what are you planning on doing for crime that could maybe boost activity that is obviously illegal, but yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's any concern of like, you know, reporting crime, quote unquote. I think it's clear crime is a good thing. Everyone at this point knows it. We want more crime. Crime literally feeds the community and brings activity to all branches and sectors. So it's a good thing. What I can do as VP is limited. Um, I'll certainly express my feelings about it. I think crime is great. People should be criminals. I understand that there are things, for example, I know that there were some criminals who believed that it was too hard to do crime, it wasn't fun. So stuff like that isn't really stuff that I can address. Um, what I can address or help with is like laws. If there are, say, like um, laws concerning abuses or stuff like that, where it gives like law enforcement too much leeway or it's unfair. There are laws like that, and then certainly I think those should be repealed or amended.
Mhm.
Um, another part of it is the courts and lawsuits. I think lawsuits are a very good thing. I mean, the courts aren't too bad right now, but of course, I don't think we've had a civil lawsuit in like a month or two, but you can check that.
Yep.
So I think looking at laws and perhaps making it easier, creating more statutes or laws where criminals or citizens, if they are abused or, from law enforcement, and they can sue. And especially destigmatizing being sued, because it used to be there was an executive order, I think it was from Seatbelt, that said if you're sued and you're a law enforcement officer, you have to be suspended. And let me let me tell you, this gets me so upset. There would be cases where the criminal would sue and the officer would be suspended. So what does the officer do? Obviously, he settles out of court. He just pays the money that is asked for, and then it's dropped. And what that leads to is new lawyers, not being able to represent their clients in court on both sides. And it was super annoying. I forget when it was repealed, but I helped had it repealed. I forget who was the president at the time. It might have been Haste or someone else. It might have been War. I think it was War actually. Um, So yeah, stuff like that, legislation and rules and laws that can be changed to help criminals, that I can do, and that's what I'm planning on doing if I'm elected.
All right. You made a comment actually regarding crime. You said, quote, everyone should be a criminal?
No, I didn't. I did not say that.
I I can go back in the recording and I'm quite sure you said everyone should be a criminal.
Well, there may be a discussion about whether people should engage more in alt criming.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you believe?
Obviously, our
Oh,
Supreme Court. Oh, do I believe in alt criming?
yeah. Do you believe alt crime should be something that isn't necessarily punished even if caught, or do you believe there should be
No, no,
restrictions?
no, no, not at all. So our Supreme Court has stated in there was a case about it. I forget the exact name, but they basically set out parameters where it's pretty hard to convict someone or prove that they are alt criming unless they literally admit it, or if it's proven in a criminal case. So from their, I think their point of view is that it's a whole other part of your, say, quote unquote Lego life. Um, I don't think that alt criming is a permanent solution to the crime problem, the lack of crime.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better to have people in the community who make crime their whole thing. Um, or even people who switch to crime for like a long period and do it because they think it's fun. Um,
Do you
so
believe?
I sort of believe in alt criming. Yeah.
All right. Do you believe in a situation where I guess I can just out myself, similar to me, where I just went to LE crime, and kind of just persisted because I was just bored with one side or the other, or if someone else is bored with one side or the other and they felt like if they wanted to switch and then come back they can? Or do you feel like they should, be held responsible, get blacklisted obviously, and kind of if they wanted to come back they'd have to pursue the legal way to get their
Mhm.
stuff expunged and, you know.
Guess we need to look into whether banning criminals from coming back, like say a criminal wants to leave his criminal life and come back to the government, then he's not going to commit crime unless, obviously he has an alt. So the question is crime in a state where if that person leaves, because obviously, we have crime right now is based on a few individuals who are really good at it. So the question is, if we block them, is that good for crime? Is that good for the community? But also, is it fair to the person? So, it's multifaceted, and we have to look at each of the sides. Generally, I support criminals coming back easily into lower level law enforcement. Um, Not necessarily maybe SS or IC, but generally on lower levels, yes.
All right. Then we'll kind of continue away from crime. Um, I don't know if I should talk about DoD. I mean, you guys kind of already talked about it, unless you want to add anything about your policy with DoD and USM,
Oh, I'd love
USMC.
to. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So, about a few weeks ago, I decided to look into the into the Marines first division. First Marine Division, yeah. Because I was like, dang, like it feels like we haven't had an event in a while. And I think the last one was a couple weeks ago that War hosted. Um and yeah, we just are not doing trainings or stuff like that. And I just remember like when we were having the war with Hindustan, there would be trainings like pretty frequently and they were super fun. Now, obviously that was in the context of war, but my question is why can't we just do that without a war? If we have trainings, we can actually have a reason to promote people. If we don't have any reason to promote someone merit, then inevitably I think we'll turn to favoritism and like bias and nepotism, which obviously isn't great. So, and I looked at some middle rank to high rank individuals in the first Marine Division. There are some people who haven't sent messages in the server in half a year. They haven't hosted an event yet. They haven't posted anything in the main Marine server in months. So I think it's a question of why is that person in their position if they are not contributing to the good of the Marines and the community. Um, so I think, and this is something I think PTY is trying to do. He's trying to subpoena or invite the Secretary of Defense to a hearing to answer for this. And now I think in his reply he said, "Well, we're looking for new leadership, and once we have it, you can ask them." Which, I think why not both? Because we don't know how long it will take for them to find a new commandant or a new assistant commandant. In the meantime, we need answers and we need a responsibility, you know? I have a huge amount of respect for crypto and war, but it it seems like things are being left to get inactive, especially in the first Marine Division. And of course, there are like 08s, 07s, 06s who are responsible for that. Of course, the highest ranking officer of the First Marine Division, I would be in favor of subpoenaing him to a hearing, asking him what's up, why isn't this active, what are you doing to make it active? And if he doesn't have good answers, then sorry, I think that you should be replaced. And I'll end it there.
So you believe that it would be in Congress's interest to subpoena, or not subpoena, well, no, go get a hearing with all those that were not necessarily doing the job that they were assigned to do or that they were chosen to do, like they've been inactive. You would be like, you believe that Congress
hmm
should look into
The
that?
I would say the sorry,
No,
I
just
woed say the leaders, whoever is the head of the First Marine Division, or maybe his deputy if he doesn't respond.
mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't respond, obviously it's clear that we have a problem. So not everyone, because of course Congress has to pick and choose and spend its time and resources wisely.
Yeah.
But certainly inviting, and then if they refuse, subpoenaing those individuals, absolutely. I think it's in not only Congress's best interest, but the communities.
All right. Do you feel that there's an issue of recycling members in DoD? Simple.
Mhm. Um, I believe so. I mean, yeah. I can't really remember the last time we've had a super like high-ranking individual who wasn't not recognized, but who hadn't previously filled a high rank. Um, Now the Marines is very important. Um we don't want incompetent people in these very like powerful positions. So there's a fine balance between having members who are very experienced and are dedicated and have given so much to the group and deserve respect for that, and recognizing if any of those people are burnt out, like Nathan said, and then also new individuals who aren't as experienced but who are passionate and excited and willing to do a lot for the Marines or whatever they're in. Um, it's a balance. So I think right now what the Marines need is new individuals with new ideas, and a passion for activity and stuff like that.
All right. Um, then I'll move on. Uh, Obviously we have the Department of State, Homeland Security, DoD, but another crucial, I guess, department, if you want to call it that, is, or rather, community is our intelligence community. Obviously, Central Intelligence Agency, National Security, and Federal Bureau. Almost messed that up. Bureau of Investigations. What do your policies look like for the IC? If you have any concerns, how do you plan to fix them or improve them? And yeah.
Mhm. Well, IC is obviously unlike every other department. I guess I'll start first with FBI. FBI is sort of it is similar to other departments in the sense that it is more staffed, um, and have agents that can go in game and do law enforcement capabilities. So concerning FBI, the agents who go in the field should definitely, maybe I would think they should have a quota, a certain weekly quota of time they have to be in game. Um, Concerning the rest of the IC, especially NSA, the CIA, is stuff that I think we have to trust in their capability, um, because it is such an important role that they fulfill handling our sensitive information. Now, we certainly need to hold them accountable, just like everyone else. And I think they have been doing um, good job with transparency so far. Maybe lacking a bit recently. I don't believe that we've had, for example, a press conference or a declassification of information for a while now. But I trust that if they haven't made that decision yet, there's a good idea. Um, One thing I do want to comment on is the response from Revocate when you sort of asked him about the IC. He said that he would really encourage new members to join the IC. And when I heard that, I was really surprised because I'd love to hear Abu's reaction to that. Um, I mean, the IC isn't a place for new members. We have starter departments for that. Um, Having newer members in the IC is not something I support at all. Yeah.
So you believe that the IC should be kind of left as it is with people who are more experienced, have been in the community for honestly months, but you know that they can get the task done and not necessarily give it a chance to new players that may still be eager to learn from the intelligence community.
hmm Well, like the Marines, I do believe in, or rather, I don't believe in the recycling hire. And a lot of that, I believe, has been fixed since so many big former members have resigned. Um, but continuing employment and especially having work to train employees and get them experience so that they can be promoted and eventually, become DNI or something like that, which might take a year or two, um, is still important. Um, the IC shouldn't change, but the leadership, after a while, I believe, should change to give new people who have been in the IC for a long time the chance to do that.
All right. Um, I actually kind of want to respond to a comment you made on the previous question, or rather statement you made regarding FBI. Alco had a good point.
Mhm.
You want to add a weekly quota to the FBI?
Well, for the agents in the field who don't do any criminal investigations, otherwise, what are they doing?
All right.
I
Simple as that.
mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 30 minutes a week, which isn't a lot at all. If there's a slow week where no one's in game, then of course that's an exception, and exceptions can be made. But in general, activity needs to be emphasized and enforced. Um, so yeah, I believe a quota may be necessary. If someone like the FBI director or the deputy disagrees, then I'll respect that.
All right. Seems Tempor has also kind of responded to your current statement saying quote, don't they all investigate now? Like one single division with the department, it's not separate anymore. He doesn't think. I think he
Oh,
is very
the
ignorant of that.
investigation division is just like the only one now.
He said he thought they
Huh.
merged.
Hmm. Well,
Anyway,
listen.
oh
Oh, sorry. Can I just say one last thing?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the investigation division is super important. But from my time as AG, I saw that it was not that busy. I mean, you may have gotten one or two cases a month, maybe three, but in general, and things may have changed, but from the flow of cases we've gotten so far from the DOJ, which is like one or two in the past month, I don't think things have changed that much. So if they aren't investigating, if they don't have cases, then what are they doing? I think that it's good for FBI to be in DC. I think it's good for law enforcement to be active in the game. Um, yeah.
But kind of adding on to that, what if there really isn't much to investigate? What if there isn't that they aren't investigating is because nothing has gone on for them to investigate? Like you kind of said regarding crime, there hasn't really been much crime. It's kind of been dying slowly. I mean, Mateus has even stated in the OSF main channel that he doesn't really want to play anymore. He's kind of experiencing burnout, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. There might be an argument to be made for Mateus to be a special case. I mean, he has been doing crime for a very long time. Whether crime enjoyment is affecting new criminals is definitely a serious issue that needs to be looked into if that's the case. Um, but I'm sort of confused by your question. If FBI doesn't have any, oh yeah, so if there is no crime, like I said, special circumstances obviously have to be made. If there's a slow week where there's literally no one every single day for a week in DC, then obviously, yeah, make an exception for that week. Hmm.
All right. Uh, all right then. As besides FBI, what about NSA and CIA? What are your plans for them?
Well, seeing that if I'm elected, I'll be the vice president. I think that question, I'll let Nathan answer it if he'll come back.
Oh,
Oh, there
what a
you go.
we have summoned him.
How fortuitous.
Daddy's back.
What?
I said Daddy's back.
All right.
All right, Nathan, the question is, are we disbanding the NSA and CIA?
No comment.
Um, but on a serious note, we were kind of just discussing policies and concerns and what could be improved upon with the IC. Ray kind of touched on FBI. So I kind of want to know what your guys' thoughts are or improvements are for the CIA and the NSA. Nathan.
Oh, dude, I've been busy and you hit me with something like that.
It's an interview, you gotta
Ugh.
on the spot.
Yeah, yeah, on the spot. Obviously, you know, if elected, you'd have to communicate with your intelligence leaders and if they need any aid, help them out any way that you can. And you know, obviously, we don't know the state of the IC. I don't think unless you're a part of it. So until we may be elected, we won't know. But if elected, we'll work hard with their leaders to provide them with every resource that we can give.
All right, so it's gonna be kind of
And then,
money.
can I just say something really quick?
Yep, go ahead.
As someone who's in the NSA, I think that what their job is, which is, background checking people, is running well. Tickets are answered promptly. So I'm not sure if things have to change.
All right. Um, all right, so it's kind of just gonna be like when if you're elected, you'll kind of see what needs to be done, um, when you're obviously able to get that type of information, Nathan.
Yep,
All right, simple. Um,
yep.
Ray
Simple and to
and
the point.
um, Nathan, you have experience in DOJ, right? Or no, that's mainly Ray.
It's mainly Ray. I was a previous prosecutor. I didn't even finish my case, but
All
you,
right, all right, then I'll kind of forward this question to Ray a bit more. Um, what is your policy for the Department of Justice and the courts? You know, how do you feel they're doing it right now? Obviously, you kind of touched on that the FBI hasn't really been putting out many cases. I think you said in the last month there's only been two, or the last 2 months there's been two. I don't remember fully, but what are your thoughts and policies, concerns, whatever for DOJ? Ray?
Oh my gosh, sorry. I was responding to Aqua in general. Could you repeat the question?
Yep.
this is a problem with the live.
So basically I said, yeah, so basically I said, what is your concerns, policies, or um, stuff with DOJ? As you stated before with the FBI, they haven't really put out many cases for the DOJ to prosecute in. I think you said in the last 2 months or 1 month, there's been two. I think it was something like that. Um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to know your thoughts on DOJ and how you guys would improve it.
Well, I could talk for an hour about DOJ,
I
but
mean, go ahead.
let's see. It's 9:47. I'll try to stop at 9:50.
All right.
So yeah, the lack of cases is the root of that is the lack of cases in general and activity within the courts that train and bring out people who are interested in law who can participate. When I was in DOJ when I first joined in like 2021, I did private practice. ICCAM reached out to me, said, "Hey, do you want to join the DOJ?" I applied, and I was hired. Um, that hasn't happened in like a very long time because we don't have cases where new lawyers take on the case and they can be seen to be, oh, that's a good lawyer. Like we should hire him as an assistant United States attorney. Um, so the root of the problem is the activity in the courts. Now, when I was the attorney general, I talked to Ward about this, and I tried reaching out to all the other nations in OUN who had possible legal departments or courts. I had DOS submit to me a list of all the nations that had that. Visited those nations personally, reached out to the high ranks, judges, attorney generals, ministers of justice, and really, they came back with not much. There are almost no other nations, certainly no nations with the high level role play courts that we have, or those which can easily transfer to ours. The last thing that I thought of is just to, you know, hire from outside the group, maybe go to there's like a court simulator, I think called Pinewood, something like that. Um, Go there. I mean, I think that's how Trisum was brought in as Attorney General, and now he's a judge. So maybe we ought to give that a try. And I'll end it there.
All right. Are there any programs? I'm going to continue the conversation. Are there any programs that you have in mind for DOJ to maybe kind of improve upon what you guys have now?
Well, I guess I'll answer that again. Currently, there is a joint internship program between the DOJ and the Public Defender's Office,
Uh-huh.
which sort of trades and trains them to be good lawyers and to take on new cases. Um, So definitely, and I believe that is the most effective program there is so far. So instead of a new program, I believe in reinforcing and spreading the current one that they have.
All right. Um, I think I'm going to ask this to both of you because I believe you both have been in USMS. It hasn't really been talked about. But how do you both feel about USMS, and is there really anything to touch up on, or do you think they're kind of should be left on their own? And whatever the USMS administration does is kind of like on them. Uh, yeah, this is kind of to both of you, by the way.
You
You're
want to go
referring to the
first, Ray?
Marshal Service.
Yes, USMS, United States Marshal Service.
Ray?
Crickets. Yeah, I mean, I support the Marshals. They're part of the judicial branch. So I guess, yeah, I'm in favor of leaving them alone.
All right.
Uh, I don't.
uh,
I don't really remember being a part of the Marshals. I might have been. I don't know. You said that I was a part of. I don't remember, but I think
Yeah,
that
I wasn't.
oh, were you not?
uh,
I thought one of you or both of you were in it at the same time.
No.
I might have been. I don't think I made it out of probation, but it's okay.
You seem like someone to be a marshal.
Me?
No, Nathan.
Oh.
Oh, I might have been. I don't know,
And they would
but
never hire you.
I
Yeah,
I,
we
I
we just
trust Uncle Ass though.
we
Uncle Ass
just
is king.
Uncle Ass is crazy. I mean, to answer your comment, Ray, I have been employed twice now, under AB and Poppy
Oh,
Moretti, Papa Moretti, whatever his name is.
oh, okay.
Poppy and
Um,
ready.
Poppy Moretti. Anyways, I guess I'll
Makes
ask.
sense. You're a good fighter.
Yeah, well, second time I went rogue. But anyways, it's almost reaching an hour, similar to the previous interview, so I think I'm gonna ask one more question. Um, we're gonna go back to DHS, specifically Secret Service. Actually, I think I have like two questions regarding them.
I love you.
Mhm. Uh,
Oh,
Oh, what was that?
Nine. I love you.
okay, bruh. Um,
That's awesome.
how do you guys feel about SS currently? What do you think needs to be changed?
You want me to go first, Ray?
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, throughout this whole interview, throughout our campaign, you'll see activity, activity, activity. And Secret Service only thrives on activity from the administration. If you don't have activity, events, server startups, and obviously your president, vice president on the game, pretty constantly, you're not going to have good activity with Secret Service. So I don't think that the current Secret Service has had too many opportunities to get on during this administration. I'm sure they've had the random here and there startups and State of the Union, but I feel that if we are elected, we'd like to add on more events, not only not little events, but more wide span that will include all departments, um, include other foreign nations, bringing them in, and yeah.
All right, Ray, anything to add?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just say as VP, the most important thing I can do for SS is get on and give them a detail, which, if I'm elected, I would do very often.
All right, and then last question regarding SS. We're gonna talk specifically about Secret Service counter assault team. Obviously they've had controversy before. Sorry, they've had controversy before, and so I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts about it. I believe it's currently a thing. Okay, bro. I
E.
believe it was. I believe it's currently a thing. I've not seen many CAP members. I don't know if it's like currently being fulfilled, or anything. But what do you guys feel about it? And yeah, Nathan or Ray.
Oh, you want me to answer, Ray?
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Um, well, I don't know that much about cat. I'm not very well versed into that sort of thing. I think that maybe it could prove to be beneficial if the activity is there. As it stands right now, the activity is not there, event wise, administration wise. So hopefully, if we win and we prove um, that our plans will be the right path and actually execute them the right way and bring activity and bring more player base, maybe one day Cat could be successful with the activity that we hope to provide.
All right. Ray.
Yeah, I agree with Nathan. Nothing to add.
All right. I just kind of want to ask, or rather, quote a comment to you, Nathan.
Okay.
Demonic said you should name him WHMO director again. What do you say about that?
Hell yeah. No, no, no. That was a joke. No, that was a joke.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey,
Anyways, huh?
yeah, there you go, Nine. Say it. Say it one more time.
Nope.
Say it one more time. Say it.
No.
Okay.
But you can always tell me you love me. Anyways.
Hey, that's us.
All right, bruh. Anyways, it's kind of reached the hour mark, so I think I'm gonna finish this interview here. Um, do you guys have any final remarks before we end?
I do not.
Ray?
Um, Vote for us for a brighter future for OSF.
Actually, I do have something to say. I'd like to say that I appreciate the interview, Nine, and the last minute decision of doing it live. It makes it a lot more nerve wracking, and
Such a glazer, bruh.
it makes it more real. Uh, and
Yeah.
then it's pretty funny seeing people in general chat saying stupid stuff and getting you cracked up, but it's still more
Bruh, they're
real.
voting for us. You'd say what they are saying is stupid?
Oh
Yeah, are we
no,
throwing shade? Hold on
oh
now.
no,
Let's keep
no,
it
no,
cute now.
no.
All right, get
Just
this
kidding,
guy
just
out of
kidding,
here.
just kidding, just kidding.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, no
It was
problem.
awkward now.
I mean, no problem. I mean, I had to. I didn't see your guys' campaign server before, so I literally had to go to each channel and just read everything like really quickly in like 10 minutes and just think of questions to ask. So I hope everything was alright. I know some of the questions may have been finicky. Um,
Oh, it's
but
okay.
yeah.
Sorry if I missed anything important. I had to hop out at work.
No, you're good. Ray was answering most of the questions after you left, and I mean he answered them. I would assume sufficiently. You
Hell
get
yeah.
so
All right, I gotta go again.
yep.
Peace out.
Yep. All right. Have a good day or night rather. All right. Well, yeah. This will end the interview here. Ray. I mean Nathan left, so I want to thank you again, and yeah.
Thank you for putting up with us.
No problem.